All right, here we are. You're tuned in to Ruthless Politics. We are back on the air here. We're going to do a COVID-19 special, coronavirus, however you may know it. You know me as Treez. I'm here with
Kid Chronic.
And if you guys listened to the podcast before, we really appreciate that. So we're going to go on some topic-to-topic kind of basis here. So it's not in line with the total show, but we wanted to get back on the air and take advantage. We're home, everyone's social distancing, and we didn't want to let that stop us. So I'm going to let Kid Chronic start off here with some of his opinions on this coronavirus, COVID-19. What do people believe?
Oh, boy, you're going to let me start off on this one?
Or, I mean, well...
No, I like it. But my stuff is in depth here because I actually put a little time into researching a
theory let's hear what you got. Let's
that I had about how this all happened. And I know you have your theories too. And I've read some of the conspiracy theories online. And the basic premise of my theory is that, let me even step back a little bit. So we've been alive a while, 41 years old. We've seen a lot of things happen on the planet. We've been around for a lot of different things. We've never seen anything like this. We've never seen them just shut down the entire country before. Not for anything. And people, die all the time. And we've had swine flu, bird flu, all these different things. So there's something a little bit different about this one. Is it more deadly? Okay, maybe. But I think there's something about the origin that's a little different too. And so if you research it, and I have let me go over some COVID stuff right here. So basically there's 500,000 cases in the US right now, 23,000 deaths, and 1.8 million global cases. So it's pretty contagious. And right when it came out, they arrested a Harvard chemical scientist, basically. Let me get you the exact notes on this. Let me pull this guy up here. Okay, so this guy's name that they arrested at the beginning of this thing, his name is Charles Lieber. He was a Harvard professor, and he took part in this China program, which was called the 1,000 Talents Plan. And if you look into this 1,000 Talents Plan, basically what the Chinese did is they put out all this money to hire all this American, academic talent. And I don't know if they were getting secrets from them. It seems like they were getting secrets from them. Some people were charged with giving information and secrets over. And it seems like this was basically a spy program, is what I'm just going to go out and say. This was basically a spy program. The idea was to get American educational talent to help the Chinese in whatever they're trying to do. So he lied to the FBI about his role with the group, and he took also federal grant money, and he didn't expose that he was working for the Chinese. So he was hiding that he was working for the Chinese. The Chinese were paying this guy $50,000 a month. $50,000 a month, plus housing, plus also funding the studying that he was doing. So they were giving this guy a shit ton of money. They thought he was very, very valuable. And he was like the director of chemical science at Harvard. I mean, he is like the top guy, right? Now, who do you think is paying him this money? Who was he working with in China? This is where it gets really good. The Wuhan Institute of Technology. That's where he was being paid from, and that's where he's sending his information over. So it gets
ironically enough.
Right. So not only did the NSA...
Can I interject one thing so people understand, just in case? The reason why you were making that point was Wuhan is where this all started. All the media called it the Chinese Wuhan flu. You're not allowed to say that anymore. The Wuhan virus. You can go back and look. So
exactly
the connection.
They're trying to tell us that somebody ate bat soup in Wuhan and basically caused a global pandemic. And maybe that's the case. I'm not a pandemic scientist. I just happen to be a news expert. I read the news every day, and I follow the news on this show. And it's easy to put this together. So I'm sure I'm not the only person that's thinking this. So also investigating this guy for some odd reason is the National Institute of Health. It's a weird person to be investigating somebody who's selling secrets to the Chinese.
Why are you on the radar?
Yes. Okay. Now, the Justice Department also in the same arrest went through, and they arrested, and I can't pronounce his name, Yang-Qing Yi. And she was a student at Boston University. She was a student of physics, chemistry, and guess what? Bioengineering. And she was arrested, and it turns out she was actually a lieutenant in the Chinese People's Army. So she was an Army lieutenant that was working with her military still, that was placed in Boston University in bioengineering. Okay? So they arrested her too. And then they came through, and they arrested this third guy, Zhao Zheng. And he was a cancer researcher at Beth Israel Deacon's Medical Center in Boston, and he was caught smuggling 21 vials of research material from the university or the research center to China. So you have a chemical weapons specialist, you have a bioengineering military girl from China, and then you have this guy with the vials going over there. So what I think happened is that when this thing came out, the U.S. got a hold of it, and they said, you know what? We've seen this before. We know who we're paying to research it, and this guy at Harvard. And they went over there and arrested him. And they took this whole ring down. And that's why they're so scared of it. And that's why the country is cut down, because they created this thing. It's either a piece of a biological weapon that just like slipped out, or it was a specifically made biological weapon. And then, and this is my conspiracy theory here. I'm not saying any of this is true, guys, but there's some facts to back it up. My theory on it was, I said, why would you want a low-grade biological weapon? If you were going to create a biological weapon, you would want to mass exterminate everybody.
Right. This isn't killing enough people.
Yeah, exactly. What would be the point of creating a weak one like this? And then I thought to myself, the number one enemy in the world, the most dangerous country, is North Korea. And if you were going to fight North Korea, you have a big problem. They have all these rockets aimed at South Korea. They're going to kill a lot of South Koreans if you invade. So how would you invade them? A biological weapon where their people are all starving and weak, that just kills off the weak people, could mow through their whole population without killing very many people on the outside of the country. And so it's very interesting.
North Korea claims that they have 0 deaths of coronavirus, as far as, and not to say to believe that,
well, they're killing
on record.
Probably bolt in the head. If you get coronavirus over there, it's dangerous to the whole population.
It is interesting. We never hear their name in any of this, in the deaths and whatnot. They claim they have 0. I don't know. I'm not saying to believe that, but while you're bringing them up, they claim they have 0 deaths.
They also claim that the leaders are going to live forever, and then they drop dead, and they're like,
they're crazy. They're crazy. Can I
one guy, the one guy, he had like 18 holes in one when he played golf or something.
So to add to the Wuhan story that you said, this is what angers me about the whole thing. Why do we know such unnecessary information about so many things, and we can't get a straight answer on this? Not any journalist, nobody, I don't care whether you're liberal, conservative, there's not a journalist out there. Nobody has uncovered why this happened. Okay, so is it China covering it up?
Because a lot of people have taken some surface arguments too. There's like surface conspiracy theories that are wrong.
We demand an answer. Look what this did.
I think are the ones that are saying, they just want to like even out Social Security, or they just want to take care of the old people. Or another interesting thing that's happened is 4 to 1 African Americans are dying of this compared to white people, and it's mowing out the hood, it's mowing over poor people. And the reason for that is it's not because the government, I think, built it because they wanted to kill those people. It's just it's shining a spotlight on discrimination already. Those people don't have access to health care. They have jobs on the front line.
You can't say it's racist because of all the people it's killing around the globe. You can't just say, well, in the United States it's racist, but in Italy it's not.
So there's all sorts of reasons I think that's striking us, and those have created a false conspiracy theory when I think there's right out in the open by these 3 arrests that you can read about online on New York Times, Washington Post, whatever big paper you want to read about has information on these 3 arrests.
Yes.
And it's not hard to put it together. And when you read the news stories about this, it seems like the government is trying to cover something up.
And I'll tell you what, they're not covering that enough.
They're arresting the people for like oddball crimes, not the actual like carrying the vials over there. They're not mentioning what's in it, and it's very light.
Nobody's taking fault for this. So like you said, so here's another theory though. The theory about the bat was, okay, so this wet market is within a half a mile of the laboratory. So they think then there's a conspiracy theory of that they take this bat and what it may offer as far as the viruses it has as a bioweapon and brought it to there to be used. Why did Iran get this so bad? Was the theory was that that's where it leaked. Another conspiracy theory is that this is a bioweapon. And if you looked at the early numbers, Iran was at the top. And I always thought to myself, why the fuck was Iran so high on this? And then they fell off as Italy and the rest of Europe got so high. And I was like, wow, China and Iran are leading the world. Yeah, because they're friends with each other in a military way against the United States. So another conspiracy theory is that we demand answers. At the end of the day, you got people thinking that this is war with China after. Like once all the dust settles, China needs to be blamed for what's happened to the world economy. Are they to blame? Are they not to blame? Was it an accident? Was it a conspiracy? Was it a mistake? Either way, we had a fucking problem here. Somebody did this, and that's the scary part. Are we ever going to get down to this? It's kind of like an Epstein. Are we not going to get the answers to this? Why do we know the scores of the fucking football game?
We won't get the answers because the 2 governments that is between like the U.S. government and the Chinese government are too polished, even though they disagree on a lot. They'll behind the scenes come to an agreement and be like, hey, sorry this happened. Sorry we stole
yeah.
And what's very interesting is if you're in the world of like the real world, let's say, and you commit a crime, you get in a lot of trouble. But oftentimes these spies don't really get in trouble. You can like steal all kinds of information from another country and they'll just like hand you over after a year and be like, hey, give us our spy back.
Different rules.
No big deal.
Different rules.
Yeah. There's kind of like light slaps on the wrist for some of this stuff.